YN's POV, I am engaged to Taehyung, but it's his brother who locks the door behind me and calmly asks if I'm ready to tell the truth. The metallic click echoes through the opulent lounge, a stark, definitive sound that seals my fate, at least for this suffocating week. It's a sound that doesn't just lock a door, but locks me in. My breath hitches, almost imperceptibly, before I rein it back in. This isn't just a room with too much velvet and gilded trim. It's a gilded cage, and Jungkook, perfectly still, radiating an aura of controlled power, holds the key. His eyes, the color of a moonless night, pin me where I stand, stripping away the polite, vaguely bored mask I usually wear for these high-stakes family charades. He doesn't need to raise his voice. His presence alone is a command, a silent interrogation that screams, "Don't even think about running." The truth? I parrot, my voice an octave lower than I usually aim for, laced with a sarcasm so dry it could flake. My humor is my shield, my blade, my last line of defense against men like him, men who wield power like a weapon and expect compliance. Which one were you hoping for exactly? The one about how this entire engagement is a corporate merger disguised as a love story that will magically boost both our family's stock values, or the more pressing issue of how your family's state-of-the-art espresso machine is objectively superior to the one we use at my parents' estate? Because, let me tell you, I have strong, very strong opinions on both matters. I manage a small, challenging tilt of my head, refusing to let him see the tremor of unease that just tried to run through me. He doesn't crack, not a flicker, no smile, just that unnerving stillness. It's like talking to a perfectly carved statue that somehow feels more alive, more dangerous than any shouting man. A slight tilt of his head, like a predator assessing the most efficient way to dissect its prey, is his only response. Funny. Most people find themselves reaching for a different kind of truth when they're trapped in a room with me, one less concerned with caffeine and more with survival. His voice is low, a smooth, dangerous rumble that feels like velvet wrapped around a blade. It's the kind of voice that could lull you into a false sense of security right before it delivers a fatal blow. He gestures vaguely towards the plush, cream-colored sofa, an invitation, a subtle command. But I remain standing, arms loosely crossed. A deliberate refusal to be settled, to be contained, to sit at his feet. This is his territory, yes, but I won't move an inch of my personal space, not even for a fleeting moment. "Oh, I'm sure," I retort, my gaze unwavering, meeting his intensity head-on. There's a strange thrill in this defiance, a spark of something almost reckless. And I'm equally sure most people aren't engaged to your younger brother, only to find themselves interrogated by the elder one before they've even had their first lukewarm welcome tea. It's a rather niche experience, I'll grant you that, and not one I'd put on a recommended list. My internal conflict hums beneath my calm exterior. I refuse to be a pawn in their corporate chess game. But why does he make me feel seen? He doesn't look surprised by my defiance, merely intrigued. A dangerous glint in his eyes tells me he's enjoying this. He's not looking for a quick confession, he's looking for a reaction, a tell, a weakness. And for some reason, the game feels less boring with him. Jungkook's POV. She's sharper than I anticipated, much sharper. Taehyung's description of YN was of a strategic asset, a polished, intelligent woman who understood the game and would play her part. But he conveniently left out the fire in her eyes, the steel spine beneath the elegant dress. The lock had been a test, yes, but also a courtesy. To cut through the bullshit, to get to the core of her before the week of manufactured pleasantries truly began. And she's not pliable clay. She's made of molten gold, beautiful, valuable, and resistant to bending. Her sarcasm is a shield, but it also reveals her intelligence, her quick processing. She's dissecting me, too. I can feel her eyes following my every micro-movement, her mind churning, trying to predict my next move. Lukewarm tea is a luxury you won't always be afforded here, YN, I state, my voice even, allowing the subtle threat to hang in the air, barely perceptible, like a shadow moving in the corner of her vision. Her initial defensiveness has morphed into a calculated counterattack, an attempt to seize control of the narrative, to throw me off balance. I appreciate the audacity. Most in her position would be stumbling, apologizing, trying desperately to appease, not her. She holds her ground. I walk past her, slowly, deliberately, towards the expansive window overlooking the perfectly manicured gardens. The silence stretches, taut and humming with unspoken questions, with the clash of our wills. I don't truly want YN in the traditional sense. She's Taehyung's. A piece in his elaborate game, a pawn for an alliance with Chairman Park, a means to an end. But what if she was never truly his to begin with? What if this entire arrangement is built on sand, ready to crumble the moment a real truth is introduced? My brother sees her as leverage. I see a volatile, beautiful puzzle, one that might just unravel everything. Your family, your empire, thrives on control. So forgive me if I find your sudden interest in truth a little performative. Her voice cuts through the quiet, sharper now, less playfully sarcastic, more challenging. She's trying to gain the upper hand, to turn the tables, to expose my own hypocrisy. Good. Her gaze follows me, dissecting my movements, just as I'm dissecting hers. She knows how to read rooms and people, how to identify the weak points. A very dangerous quality for someone about to be entangled in my family's affairs. A quality that makes her both a risk and, unexpectedly, a fascination. I turn, leaning back against the cool window frame, arms crossed, mirroring her defiant stance. Control is merely knowing where all the pieces are, YN. And right now, you're the newest, most interesting piece on the board, and one I'm still trying to place. I let that hang in the air, the subtle threat, a whisper beneath the calm. Taehyung will be back soon. He wanted to ensure you were settling in. A ghost of a smile touches my lips, devoid of warmth, a comment designed to test her reaction. He's very attentive. I watch her closely. A fleeting shadow crosses her face at the mention of my brother, quickly masked by a practiced, indifferent expression. It confirms what I already suspect. The affection between them is an elaborate stage play, and she's a reluctant actress. A moment later, the door handle rattles. Taehyung, a picture of effortless charm in a charcoal suit, steps into the lounge, his smile bright, almost too bright, as if practiced in a mirror. "Darling, there you are. I was just coming to find you." He glides towards YN, taking her hand. A possessive, public gesture that feels utterly hollow, like rehearsed lines from a script he's memorized but doesn't quite believe. He glances at me, his smile tightening fractionally before turning back to her with practiced solicitude, his attention overtly focused. "Did Jungkook keep you entertained?" His question is light, but his eyes dart between us, assessing, calculating, looking for any sign of a crack in their facade. He sees her as leverage, a beautiful acquisition, not a partner, not a person. And in that moment, I realize my brother might be even more dangerous than I initially gave him credit for, but not in the way he thinks. YN's POV. Taehyung's hand is warm, almost too warm, possessive as it settles on my lower back, guiding me deeper into the lounge, towards a waiting dining room. His touch is a brand, a claim, and I can almost feel the invisible eyes of the household staff watching, judging, cementing this image of us. His smile, for the benefit of these unseen eyes, is flawless, bright enough to be blinding, yet I feel absolutely no warmth from it. The very air around him hums with the unspoken expectations of this alliance, a business transaction gift-wrapped in silk and societal pleasantries. He leans in, his voice a low, charming murmur, meant only for my ears. "Jungkook can be a bit intense. Don't let him get to you, darling. He's just protective of the family. He means well, but he takes everything very seriously." Protective? Or perceptive? I think. My internal voice a dry whisper. I glance over his shoulder to where Jungkook still stands by the window, a silent, unmoving sentinel, a shadow among the light. He doesn't join us immediately, allowing Taehyung to lead me, to stake his public claim. It's a power play, subtle and effective, a clear message. She is mine. But the message rings hollow, an echo in the vast, elegantly appointed space. My internal monologue is a constant hum of defiance. I refuse to be owned, to be a prize, to be won or traded. But why does he make me feel seen, like he's actually piercing through my carefully constructed facade, instead of just accepting the surface? It's that last part, the seen bit, that truly unsettles me. Taehyung looks at me, sees the exterior, but Jungkook looks through me, sees the gears turning beneath. Dinner is a meticulously choreographed affair, a ballet of silver and silence. Taehyung sits opposite me, radiating an easy confidence, engaging in polite, superficial conversation about my journey, the irritatingly perfect weather, and the current market trends. He's a master of pleasantries, a diplomat with an underlying current of steel that I've only glimpsed. He asks about my excitement for the week, about my family's latest charity gala, all the while keeping a mental score of my answers, I'm sure. Jungkook, however, is at the head of the table, presiding over the meal with a quiet authority that needs no fanfare, no flashy gestures. He's the silent force, the bedrock of this empire. He eats sparingly, almost mechanically, but his gaze is everywhere, missing nothing. He's listening, dissecting every word, every nuance, his eyes occasionally flicking to me, holding mine for a fraction of a second too long. A silent challenge in the midst of polite chatter. It's a question I can't quite decipher. YN. I hear your family has a significant interest in renewable energy initiatives. Jungkook's voice cuts through Taehyung's anecdote about a recent golf game he'd dominated. It's not a question, more of a flat, direct statement, drawing all eyes to me, suddenly making the silverware clink too loudly. Taehyung's pleasant smile falters for a split second, a hint of annoyance flickering in his eyes before he smooths it over, quickly regaining his composure. He gives a small, forced laugh. "Oh, Jungkook, always with the business. Can't we enjoy dinner?" "Business is what brought us all here, isn't it, Taehyung?" Jungkook retorts, his gaze never leaving mine. It's a subtle jab, a reminder of the true nature of this gathering. "We do," I confirm, my voice steady, meeting Jungkook's gaze. I take a slow sip of water, giving myself a beat to formulate my answer, to show him I won't crumble. "It's less volatile than traditional assets, more future-proof, and arguably less morally ambiguous than, say, speculative international ventures that benefit from instability." I deliver the last part with a slight, almost imperceptible tilt of my chin, a subtle dig at the family business we both know he and his father run. Jungkook's lips curve into something that isn't quite a smile, a slight upward twitch that speaks of amusement rather than warmth. Like he just solved a small, interesting puzzle. Morality is a luxury, YN. Practicality is survival in this world, and survival often demands flexibility. His words are a direct counter, a clear indicator he's not just making polite conversation. Your family's leverage comes from that less morally ambiguous stance. It gives them a certain appeal, a clean image. But what happens when that leverage is no longer unique? When the market shifts, or a competitor finds their own clean angle? The air thickens, charged with unspoken meanings. Taehyung clears his throat, attempting to regain control, his charming facade straining. "Jungkook, darling, perhaps we can discuss the intricate details of global resource management later. YN has just arrived, and I'm sure she'd rather talk about something more romantic." His tone is light, but there's an undeniable edge to it, a warning. He sees me as leverage, as a symbol, and Jungkook is openly questioning its stability, threatening his position. I shake my head, a small, controlled gesture. "No, it's quite all right, Taehyung. It's a valid question." I turn back to Jungkook, my gaze unwavering, a silent promise to him that I'm willing to play. Leverage, like any asset, must be diversified. And truly, the strongest leverage is often something entirely unexpected, something that appears to have no immediate value, no obvious use, but if understood and utilized correctly, can shift the entire board. Not just your board, but any board. It's a cryptic answer, a calculated gamble. I'm not just deflecting, I'm mirroring his strategic language, showing him I understand the game, even if I'm an unwilling player, showing him I might even be good at it. Jungkook's POV. Her answer is both provocative and intelligent. She understands. She doesn't just parrot corporate jargon, she thinks in the abstract, sees beyond the surface of what's said. Something that appears to have no immediate value, but if understood, can shift the entire board. She's talking about herself, about her position as an outsider, about the subtle power dynamics at play in this very room. She is not merely YN, the intended wife of my brother. She is a mind, sharp and unafraid, capable of seeing the intricate, often ugly mechanisms beneath the elegant facade of this family, of my family. Taehyung, seated opposite her, tries to interject again, to smooth over what he likely perceives as an uncomfortable moment. Indeed, darling, he says, with another strained laugh. YN is full of surprises, always keeps things interesting. He doesn't see the true substance of her response, the depth of her insight. He just sees the business deal, the political alliance, the pretty package. He sees leverage. I don't steal what belongs to my brother, but what if she was never truly his? What if he only ever saw the reflection of his ambition in her? This thought, quiet yet insistent, begins to solidify in my mind. She's not his in the way he thinks she is, not in a way that truly matters beyond the superficial. I hold her gaze for a long moment, allowing the unspoken communication to pass between us, a silent acknowledgement of a shared, dangerous understanding. There is no overt flirtation in my stare, only a silent challenge and a silent respect. A flicker of admiration, a recognition of a kindred spirit in this desolate landscape of power and pretense. She's not submissive. She's not naive. She reads the room and she's reading me, and she's not intimidated. Indeed, I finally concede, a low, approving hum in my throat. The unexpected often proves the most powerful, especially when underestimated. My eyes flick to Taehyung, a slight tightening around my mouth. He's missed the subtext, the real conversation happening between YN and me. He's too focused on appearances, on securing his position, on being the charming heir. He doesn't see the fire, the intelligence, the quiet storm brewing behind YN's composed exterior. The rest of dinner passes in a blur of polite conversation. The game has begun, and I found an unexpected, intriguing player. Later that evening, after the polite goodnights and Taehyung's obligatory chaste kiss to YN cheek that feels more like a stamp of ownership than affection, I watch YN retreat down the corridor towards the guest wing. My brother, with his polished smiles and calculated affections, sees her as a means to an end, a valuable asset. But I've just seen a flash of something else, something far more potent. A spark that, if ignited, could burn down everything he's built, everything this family stands for. And for the first time, I consider what it would take, not to possess her, but to set that fire free. This week isn't just about building trust between families. It's about destroying lies and perhaps building something entirely new in their ashes. YN's POV, the morning light filtered through the mansion's tall windows. Last night, Jungkook's quiet intensity had been a tangible force, a sharp counterpoint to Taehyung's performative charm. It's unsettling how quickly the elder brother's gaze burrowed beneath my defenses, making me feel seen in a way that's both terrifying and undeniably magnetic. I dress in an outfit meticulously chosen to be appropriate, elegant, and utterly forgettable. A muted gray dress, simple pearls. Taehyung, ever the strategist, suggested a trip to a luxury mall. A chance to truly get to know each other, darling, he'd said with that practiced smile over breakfast, clearly meaning a chance for you to be seen with me by the right people, to solidify our public image as a happy, thriving couple. I'd agreed with a noncommittal hum, knowing this outing was less about us spending quality time and more about appearances, another scene in the ongoing play. I was, unwillingly, his co-star, and I had to play my part convincingly. In the mall, Taehyung transforms instantly, his public persona clicking into place with effortless grace. He smiles at shop assistants like they're old friends, makes witty remarks that sound rehearsed, and keeps his hand subtly at my waist, a silent declaration of ownership, a constant light pressure. He talks about future plans, our shared vision, all in a smooth, confident tone. He escorts me into a high-end scarf boutique. Darling, this shade of emerald would suit your eyes beautifully, he says, picking out an absurdly expensive, entirely unnecessary silk scarf. He drapes it around my neck, his fingers lingering for a moment, his eyes sparkling with a possessive affection that feels utterly hollow. A performance for the young woman serving us. It's all for show, for the benefit of anyone who might be watching, assessing the strength and happiness of this alliance. Just as I'm trying to feign genuine interest in a diamond necklace at the next store, forcing myself to nod at Taehyung's comments about its investment value, a voice, smooth and deceptively calm, cuts through the hushed ambiance. What a coincidence. I was just finishing up a meeting with the architects for the new gallery wing, conveniently located in this very mall. Jungkook stands a few feet away, leaning casually against a display of vintage watches, looking impossibly sharp in a dark, tailored suit that fits him like a second skin. He hadn't been invited, but his presence feels less like a coincidence and more like an inevitability. Taehyung's smile tightens, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face before he smoothly recovers, plastering the charming smile back on. Jungkook, what a surprise. Joining us for some retail therapy? I didn't know you had a taste for frivolous spending. His tone is light, almost teasing, but the underlying tension between the brothers is palpable. Jungkook merely raises a brow, a sardonic twist to his lips. Therapy implies a desire for healing, brother. I'm merely ensuring the foundations are sound for the family's newest acquisition, the art gallery. Can't have any cracks, can we? His gaze shifts pointedly to me, holding mine. Are the foundations holding up, YN, or is the weight already too much for them? Perhaps the glitter is starting to chip away. The question is innocent on the surface, a polite inquiry in a public place, but beneath, it's a direct probe, a demand for truth in a place built entirely on superficiality. My breath catches. He's pushing, always pushing, finding the cracks in my carefully constructed facade, exposing the very artificiality of this display. I force myself to smile, a polite, slightly weary smile. Foundations are only as strong as the intent behind their building, Jungkook, I reply, my voice even. A delicate challenge hidden beneath the polite veneer. Some are built for display, for show, meant to impress. Some are built for endurance, for strength, meant to last. It's often difficult to tell the difference from the outside, isn't it? Especially when everything is so carefully polished. My eyes flick briefly to Taehyung, then back to Jungkook. Jungkook's POV, Taehyung's surprise at my presence is a weak performance. He knows I monitor his movements, just as I know he tries to monitor mine. My coincidental appearance at the mall is anything but. I'd seen his itinerary, noted his planned public display with YN, and orchestrated my own business meeting for the new gallery wing to conclude at precisely the right moment. I need to observe them, to see how she navigates his public charm, how he maintains the illusion. More importantly, I need to see her reaction, her genuine self, when faced with his forced affections. She's good. Very good. YN plays the part of the charmed fiancé with an effortless grace that completely belies the fire I saw in her eyes last night. She's not just playing a role, she's calculating, enduring, measuring. Taehyung, ever oblivious to the deeper currents, laughs lightly, a forced, brittle sound. Always so philosophical, darling. You'll confuse Jungkook with all your deep thoughts. He puts his hand on her elbow, his grip a little firmer than necessary, a clear warning to me, a visible assertion of his ownership. Come, let's look at that boutique you mentioned earlier. We have a schedule, after all. He steers her away, his back to me, trying to regain control. I let them go, watching their retreating figures disappear around a corner. This week isn't building trust. It's destroying lies, one public performance at a time. The more I try to stay away to maintain my distance, the more she draws me in, a silent challenge begging to be answered. The thrill of it, the danger, is addictive.